everybody, it is so good to see you today. How are you going? Today is about power. How do we keep the show running? Today I want to talk about this massive guy here, made by Hyundai. They make boats, cars. They've gone into the portable power generation business. Now, I was looking for a solution for being able to run some of my devices that require 240 volts. Here in Australia, that's what we use in the field. And I didn't really want to have to deal with petrol and noise of a traditional generator. This little guy here, instead of having a petrol-driven style power generator, this is a lithium-ion battery, just like in your mobile phone or in your camera. And it allows us to have power wherever we want to have power. We've got our standard 240 volt plugs here and here, which is what we use here in Australia. This is a 25 amp hour battery. It allows for 300 watts of continuous power, and it can spike up to 600 watts when it requires. On top of the 240 volt, the 2 times 240 volt, we have 4 times USB-A along here, as we can see. We also have one USB-C style port. Obviously a digital display, which makes it really easy. We can see its running time, how long it's been on for, how much power is left in the battery. So not only does it have the cigarette lighter style port, as we can see here, but it also has 2 12 volt DC ports, which is fantastic if you want to just have that type of power. Another great advantage of this item is you can actually use it to jump start your car, which is pretty insane. And you can recharge it. You don't have to plug it into the wall to recharge it. You can actually use solar power to charge it up as well. So this is very much a Swiss Army knife of power. I think it's super exciting. Now, I just got it out of the box. I bought this because I wanted to be able to charge my Profoto lights on the go if I'm in the field. The Profoto batteries are quite expensive. I think they're $300 or $400 each just for these little batteries, whereas this thing here was $600 to $700 in Australia on sale. And this will allow me to, with those, just run all day long, no problems, and it's essentially like I'm plugged into the wall. Not only that, we have our ATM Mini from Blackmagic Vision switcher, which requires 240 volts. We'll be able to run that as when we're out in the field. And I'm also very interested in doing a live broadcast from out in the field. All of that stuff will be able to run from here, because all of it's low powered, but some of it just is low powered but doesn't run off batteries, or doesn't run off batteries for a very long time. So this solves a lot of solutions for me professionally. Not only does it do all those things, but obviously if you're on location somewhere and you just need to charge things, you've got so much USB here, or you can be charging batteries with your 240 volt chargers. You've just basically got a giant battery that's just going to get everything done, and it's going to get it done quickly and efficiently, and you're just never worried about running out of power. Now it weighs 6.5 kilos, which is not particularly heavy, especially compared to carrying around camera gear. This would just be like probably another 20% or 10% of what I normally carry around on a big shoot. So to have that sort of power available all the time is super cool. So let's plug some stuff into it. I mean, why not? I've never done it before. Let's see what happens. Quite a list of things that we're going to plug in and see what they do. So, Profoto light and its charger. We're going to plug that in. We've already got the Sony a7R III, and as you can see, it's going strong. And here we have the Nikon 240 volt charger going strong. It's plugged in here. I've got this battery, bank charging, and I've also got a Rode mic charging. So let's plug the last 240 volts so we can see two things going at once. We'll just quickly plug that in. Lovely. Now we're going to watch the amber light, although if this was the light I didn't use, it won't go amber. Anyway, there it is there. There we go. So that is working. So what we have here is Nikon charger, USB to the Sony, USB to the Rode, USB to the battery pack, and 240 volts to the ProPhoto. Now the ProPhotos can run off this power and they bypass their battery if you're doing that, so you could do that as well. So let's turn this little guy on. We can just turn it on. We can just turn it on like so, and it will run, and it's showing here, close up here on that camera. And so this is just the practical light, and of course we can use the strobe as well. And because it's running off mains, theoretically the flash will run all day. The ProPhoto, when it's in continuous light, it does tend to overheat, so it's a bit of a downside. Depends how bright you make it. If you turn the brightness down a bit, it can help it last longer. I've never done a test to show whether, because it's got this beautiful heads-up display here that we can see, and we can change the brightness, as you can see, of the practical light, and you can see that slider going up and down there. I've never checked whether it can be at like 50% and go forever, or 25% and go forever without overheating. And then we have over here, this is the actual flash brightness. So if we crank that right up and do a test flash, you can see and hear it gets bigger, and then we can turn it all the way down to something quite small, and you can hear and see it's a much smaller flash. And with this system, I think it would just run for a very, very long time. I suppose I can do some testing in the future, but essentially this is running not off its battery, which is it plugs in, as you can see here, into its battery, bypasses it, or if this needs some filling up, it does that as well. It can shoot and charge at the same time. So this is fantastic for in the field. Obviously not in the rain, but these things don't work in the rain anyway, so I think it's pretty exciting. And the final part, of course, is the ATM Mini by Blackmagic, which I can plug into this also. It's actually at our gallery today, so I won't be plugging it in, but it's just a standard 240 device. It's only 12 volts, but it's 240 or 20 volts, something like that. So there'll be absolutely no problem with that running. So everything that I could possibly need for having a shoot, charging cameras, charging batteries, charging lights, running my Vision switcher, charging batteries 240 volts, and whatever else. And as we can see, we're running all these different things, and we've been doing it for a while, and it's gone down from 56% at the start. We don't know where it was in that 56, so I'm going to call it 55, down to 51. So this is a great, depending on your use case, which is what I talk about a lot. If you're a wildlife photographer, this will cover so much stuff. You might not want to carry it, and you might prefer to go with smaller options. I suppose it depends how long you're out for, and so on and so forth, and how far you are from a vehicle. Camping, amazing. It gives you power, and you don't have to risk running down the power in your car, which is always a concern to me, because you don't really know exactly what you're doing with your car unless you have a lot, more extra equipment to measure that stuff other than a standard car, unless of course you've got an electric car, and then they're going to tell you the electric's better. But if you're just running down the battery in your standard car by plugging into the cigarette lighter, you never really know exactly how much you're draining the car, and that always concerns me. An independent device is great. Plus this can jump start your car, plus it can be charged from solar. It does a lot of stuff, and I think it's pretty and you can get, there's two larger sized versions if you want to get them, but I think from a photographer's perspective, image makers, videographers perspective, This is a great starting point. I think it's really, really cool. As we can see here on the display, which I think is awesome, is we can see how much power we're drawing. So let's unplug this here and see how much that changes things. Yeah, wow. So there you go. This light was taking half of the power, and it's dropped from 39, 38 watts. So if we plug that back in again, let's plug that back in, and that's going to have a little bit of a chat. Go, yeah, spiking. It'll settle down, and so that charges that light and that light's battery, which is probably the largest battery besides this one here, quite aggressively. So let's see what happens when we unplug this one. It's really interesting. You can see how much power everything draws. So that's only taking 3 watts at a time. Yeah. So this guy with its 240 volts is pretty aggressive and moving pretty quick. So it's really interesting to be able to watch the output from the battery. Gives you a real sense of what's going on and how long it will last and all that sort of stuff. And the way you charge it is there's a charging port on the back here. So it's all very straightforward. Okay, anyway, I'd love to hear if this would fit in your world. Anyone out there's use case, it's certainly going to fit in mine. I'm really looking forward to using it and giving it a bit of a fang. Let me know what you think. Love to hear. All right. So good to see you as always. If this is your first time here, please subscribe, please share, please like, click on the bell so you know when my next video comes out. And there's over 200 videos that you can watch by just clicking on the Matterhorn Photography down there. Okay. I'll see you later. Don't stare into the light. Don't do it. Ah.